Hi guys, this is PC Crypto, and today we have a special episode. I'm going to talk with Jakub Rusiecki from the Symmetrical. He's one of the co-founders, and we'll be talking about how you can make money as a Gen Z with DAOs. And generally speaking, what is DAO? Hi, Jakub.
Hi, PC. How are you?
Good, fine. Awesome to have you online and have you as a first guest on my small podcast that's going to be online pretty soon. So let's talk about DAOs. So first of all, let's start with for the people who never heard about DAOs, DAO. What is a DAO?
Okay. So DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, and there's sort of certain levels of how I would explain it. If someone is just starting to understand DAOs, the way I typically explain it to them is that it's a way for complete strangers in the world to organize together online and manage in a trustless way their wallets to decide what should they invest into or what should they spend that money on. And then obviously we can go a lot deeper, and there's the whole idea of governance and just building other things around DAOs. So it's not really just spending. It's essentially making an internet native company or startup.
That is governed online. So basically, it's like
yes,
an investment club in a way. Okay, great. So how did you start it with DAOs? What was the first? How did you start with Web3 and how did it start?
Good question. Very good question. Because you played a pretty big role in that at the beginning. So I had a full-time job. I was working in a telemedical company, and I was just, after I finished work, I was just going down the rabbit hole, started investing into crypto early 2020 heavily. And I've been doing that since. And then, NFTs came along. We had a lot of discussions about them. I remember I really didn't understand it. And I remember when you told me that there's these funny monkeys, funny apes that are minting for 0.08 ETH. And I was like, no, that's just a JPEG. And I decided to really pass on that opportunity, unfortunately. And then came 2021, which was this fantastic year to be really already invested into crypto. And sort of towards the end of that year, I was like, okay, everything's been going pretty well in that space, and I've been doing this as a part-time job. How about I try and do it full time? So I cashed out some of my profits and decided to go into full time. I was thinking I'll be really much more hands-on in the NFT world. Didn't really expect I'd sort of be building DAOs. But as I was trying to really launch an NFT project, then I realized that if you want to stay in this space, NFTs are a pretty sort of speculative asset right now. And I knew that the next step for me to really try and have a career in Web3 is to start building something, or really just step into a DAO and start contributing there. So I came across the Symmetrical, my co-founder, Erica. She hasn't started season 1 yet. And it's a pretty funny story. She took the interview with me. I kept on telling her that I'm in London, but I wasn't in London anymore. I was actually in Poland, but she had this vision that she wants to have some people in London and some people in America. So, I guess fake it till you make it, really. And I was meant to be a regular member.
How did you find her?
Yes. So Syndicate, where we are really set up on, it allows you to create those investment clubs on chain. It's a pretty cool company. It allows people to sort of within 5 minutes you can set up an investment club, get your friends, and if you have a specific domain of expertise, if you want to invest into play to earn tokens or anything like that, you can sort of just pull capital together and start investing. And they reposted it. The Symmetrical is looking for people.
Okay.
So I joined. I thought I'm going to be a regular member, sort of just spending a few hours every week just to contribute. But very quickly I took over the on-chain investment team. And then for the past 6 months, I've been in a co-founder role with Erica.
That's really cool. So what is the Symmetrical? If you could explain that in one sentence and then, expand upon that.
So, I think it's a common problem of DAOs that it's hard to define it with one sentence because we've got this experimentation pathway, and the way we label ourselves, just to sort of not be too narrow and just keep it broad because of the many things that we do, is we are the Gen Z DAO exploring the frontier of Web3 together. And that's kind of a start-off point, which sort of gets your mind going, what do we do? But we initially started as a group of 40 members. We pulled capital together and it was all about investing into on-chain assets. But we very, very quickly realized that actually what we're building is a highly valuable network of Gen Zs. Like globally, we're pretty much everywhere in the world except Australia right now. And we have expanded into many more things. So we've doubled down on community building. We decided to sort of shift away from just being an investment club and really focus on having a great member experience. And then we opened up a few more interesting products on the way. So we're actually running a grants program to support early stage Web3 consumer projects. We see the Symmetrical as becoming an investment fund in the future, as well as we have a consulting arm, which I'm really happy to expand on sort of towards the end of this podcast.
Great. So the idea is that you'll be giving grants away to promising startups in the Web3 space, and then probably carry on with the investments later on once you build the track record of the Symmetrical.
Yeah, precisely. I think, we were lucky enough, surprisingly, Gen Z is still this sort of magical thing in the space. And I think in general, in tech is like, how do you access these Gen Zs? Like, I want them to be my customers or my users, but I don't know how to. And this has really helped us a lot to position ourselves as a Gen Z DAO. We've had for example, we've had the opportunity to invest into Disco's seed round. So Evan actually gave us an allocation for that on the same terms as Polychain and Coinbase Ventures. I assume because we've done a fireside chat with her. I think she really liked us and she wanted to have Gen Z on her cap table, which is pretty exciting. We're actually currently beta testing Disco, which is a pretty cool platform.
Why Gen Z though? So what's unique about Gen Z in your opinion? I'm speaking because I guess I'm a millennial, so trying to understand Gen Zs as well, and I'm trying what do you think is the main difference between Gen Z and Boomers is probably easy, but Gen Z and millennials, do you think there's something major there?
Yes, yeah, I think there is, and our whole thesis is based around the fact that, well, the mission that we sort of set ourselves out on is to bring Web3 to 1 million Gen Z. And we're doing it through sort of all sorts of activities. But we have a very deep conviction that in order to really reach mass adoption in Web3, we need to get Gen Z on board. Because Gen Z is really the first generation that was born with their phones in their hands. I mean, I'm an elder Gen Z. I'm just on the cutoff point of Gen Z, to be honest. Yep. But sort of by the age of 10 or 11, I already had a smartphone, and sort of people of a younger age, they were really born into smartphones. So you really need to get that digitally native nation on board to get mass adoption. And they just sort of catch on to trends in tech quicker. They're the first ones to download the new social apps, Be Reals or other social apps that are currently sort of trending on the App Store. That's really the biggest difference. So
tech nativeness for the Gen Zs, that's the main thing. So I wanted to go back to your investment experience as well, because you have some investment experience also before Web3, and I wanted to ask about what's the difference in your opinion between investing in Web2 and Web3. If you can talk about that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. So with regards to my experience, I think, my journey with investing started at an internship at Credo Ventures. You know them well too. And I think that's really when I got hooked on investments, and that's when I got super excited about it. I did a 2-month internship there, and then I absolutely fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, I need to have a VC career. It's just totally my thing. And then I moved on. I had to finish my university degree, and and I sort of had this urge to invest. So we set up a family office and started investing into anything consumer facing or anything in emerging markets for AngelList. And it's a different type of investing because to be honest, it's easier because you just sort of join syndicates and everything is really prepared there for you, and you've got everything sort of condensed in this beautiful investment note, and that's how you really make your decision. You can do a follow-up Q&A with the founder, but that's essentially it. And
so would
how
you
does
say
it
like
differ from
investing in startups is like, is it standardized in a way? Do you think like there's like a standard document you expect?
On AngelList, yes, I think it's pretty standardized there, and yeah, it's quite repetitive. But with Web3, we're having this completely different approach, and the idea is to really build out this sort of unique Gen Z fund, and we have to sort of do all the extra work that AngelList doesn't really make you to. So like we have to really prepare proper due diligence, even though we're just giving grants. So it's like equity free money, but like we have to set up founder calls, do the due diligence, and then we're actually voting within the DAO whether we want to give a grant to a specific project. So for example, recently we're looking into a really cool platform. It's a spin-off out of Kraus House called My Jerry. And it's a fan incentivization platform where essentially you do things in real world that like sort of fan activations, such as going to a restaurant that has like Taco Bell, for example, is an official partner for the NBA. And if you eat there, you get extra points. And you've got this like funny looking NBA avatar, and you can kind of dress it up. The more points you have, the cooler your avatar looks. And that kind of represents, let's say, you're buying into the NBA community.
Yeah. So can you like tell more about different grants you've given away? Like what are your favorite startups?
Okay. Well,
or maybe not the favorites, not to value them. Yeah, just like in general, like what are the latest things you did?
So, okay, we're just about to give our first grant, and that's My Jerry. So that one I already told you about, and I can tell you sort of a bit more of a scope of things that like we've been looking at, because there's quite a lot of projects that applied. And for example, we are looking into giving a grant to something called PubDAO, which is this decentralized media company that does content as a service. So essentially, it's a bunch of writers sort of organized in a DAO again, and they can do content as a service, but they're also building their own brand. I mean, I think that the Web3 space is so narrative driven, and it's something that we've been lacking in the previous years is to have like a good storytelling, and I can't stress how important that is. My sort of wayfinder, which is this person that guides me through Seed Club's SCO5, which we're a member of, she's actually the media steward there, and Steph really made me realize that creating a strong narrative and a good story is so important. People need a compelling story to sort of join a DAO and really feel part of it, that they want to sort of move the needle, let's say.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like the whole crypto space, I guess, is driven by DAO, or the whole world for the sake of it. So who are you looking for? Like, what are the startups that you would be happy to do? They are you like location agnostic? Do they have to be Gen Z, or like do you invest like also in millennials or boomers?
Yeah, very good question. So we are keeping it as broad as possible, and I think our thesis will narrow down as we sort of specialize. But the only really requirement is that it has to be Web3 consumer, because we feel that the grants program is the next step in bringing Web3 to 1 million Gen Z. There is a limit to how can you really scale a DAO community, especially that for every single one of our members, you go through like a strict interview process. So it really does take time, and we won't be able to have million Gen Z DAO members at the Symmetrical. So sort of we were thinking really like, how in other ways can we do it? And supporting Web3 consumers seems like the right way. If we support the founders that create the apps that bring in the Gen Z, that they create the social apps, the games, that kind of does the job indirectly for us. So it doesn't have to be Gen Z founders. It just has to be really Web3 consumer. Hopefully, we try and stay away from projects that have already received funding, because we don't think that sort of our money there will be as impactful. The earlier, the better. If it's pre-product, that's fantastic. Just sort of letting, giving the founder 3 to 5K, let's say, and letting him test his hypothesis.
Okay, so that's like the main criteria. So if that's someone older is building that kind of a product for onboarding Gen Z, that's fine for you as well. And it doesn't matter where he or she comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem with location. We are open, and also age-wise, we're also totally open.
Great, great. So I wanted to ask you, how can you make money with DAOs? Because you have this program called, I think, GenZ Consulting, but probably there are more ways to make money actually. So probably the viewers would be very interested in that.
It's a good question, and I'm happy to answer it from a sort of non-technical founder side of things. Yeah. And, it all fills into this grand vision of what I see the Symmetrical as in the future. And I really see it as this one-stop shop for anyone Gen Z either wanting to be connected with other Gen Zs in the space, or someone just taking their first steps. And we kind of split these things up to we have sort of Gen Z education, but we also have something that's just sort of the symmetrical opportunities. And that's what consulting is a part of. We really want to allow people to really take their first steps in the space and be able to actually sort of get that sort of understanding that they can actually really make money here. And they don't have to be technical. They don't have to, design a new DApp or anything like that. So we opened up Gen Z Consulting because it was really a lesson from season 1. We realized that we had a bunch of founders come to us and just ask us questions like, can you test my product? How can I target Gen Z? And all sorts of things like that, helping them finding users and doing marketing. And, when we were going into season 2, I was like, okay, I think we really have a product here, and we've been doing that for free. And how about we package it and actually start selling it? And that's what we really did, because we have this fantastic group of individuals sort of across the world with all sorts of backgrounds. We have people working in the Web3 space. We have Web3 founders. We have VCs and also college seniors. And they're very capable people that can really deliver all of those things. So we decided to open up Gen Z Consulting and started pitching it to companies. And we are currently undergoing a project with Glass. Glass is a video NFT marketplace. Fantastic team. We're also really like them and super bullish on them. And we started from product testing. So that's a multi-phase project. And anyone within our DAO was actually able to come, do some product feedback, give them some sort of feature requests, and earn up to $250. So we were giving everyone a guaranteed, I'm not sure if it was $50 or $70 for about, 30 minutes of your work, 1 hour of your work, of just playing around with a cool platform and then just submitting that feedback. And now we're actually onto stage 2, where we have turned all of our members into flippers. So we have this really cool challenge to sort of start playing around with the Glass platform, start collecting these NFTs and try and flip them. And whoever has the best score at the end of this challenge will get up to $300. So there's a multitude of opportunities in Gen Z Consulting. And also we sort of turn it into challenges, but actually anyone that participates is up for $70 for actually doing something that people just do for fun, flipping NFTs. But there's other things that we do.
Do people have to subscribe? So just to ask the question, so do people have to apply for Gen Z Consulting, or do they have to be the members of your DAO, of the Symmetrical? Or, if someone comes just, hearing this podcast and they want to join, can they make money this way?
Yeah, so we kind of try and sort of divide the work. So definitely our members have priority, and we are also preparing for a token launch. It's going to be first an NFT launch and then also an ERC20. But the idea here is to sort of definitely give the best jobs to our members. You know, we have to reward our members for really being there and being there from very early stages where we didn't even know where we're going at the beginning. But we do open up some opportunities for everyone. Like, I mean, you know, bringing Web3 to 1 million Gen Z, funny example from yesterday. Actually, one of my best friend's younger sister, I met her like last weekend, and she's like, oh my God, I really want to start earning in Web3. She doesn't know much. And like yesterday we had this like 1 hour call, and I actually onboarded her to the Glass Challenge. So she's now an NFT flipper as well. So we do open up for people. Just sort of follow us on Twitter and hang around. Let's interact. Just write to us. And there's always opportunities. We have a ton of opportunities that we're happy to open up to the broader public. But there's like also just, I wanted to say, slightly bigger things that we also do. So anyone that's like a content creator, like one of our members is currently writing for a company that we have partnered with, an article for $500. So there's really a lot of money to be made here, even if you're not technical.
Yeah, this is what, and also you mentioned that just hang out with the community. And I think that's the most interesting thing about Web3 for me, because you have so many ways to make money just hanging around on Discords, on Twitter, following people, engaging with the conversation. And if you're more just trying to cash out all the time and just, you know, like bringing the value, like, you know, as you said, creating content or maybe testing some kind of products, whether you're coding or not, because of course, blockchain developers are always very well regarded and needed. But even if you're not coding, there are so many ways to interact and help bring just spread the news. That's the best way to actually interact with a given product. And yeah, it's super cool. I think like it's true for DAOs, it's true for DeFi products, it's true for NFT collections that, you know, getting the whitelist spots. You also get it by basically just hanging around on Discord and trying to spread the news on Twitter. And that's the best way possible. So what is your recommendation for people, like for non-technical Gen Zs getting into crypto? What was the hardest for you in the beginning? Because, you know, MetaMask is not that easy, and like trying to think about installing your first wallet. What will be the first steps? Like, how did you start? How have you started with crypto? And then what would you recommend with your current knowledge for people to start with?
Yeah, very good question. And you know, I think pretty much everyone sort of starts with investing into Bitcoin or Ethereum. And that's what really piques your interest. If you invest enough, you start caring, because you have to care, because it's a lot of money for you. And since then, it's just like sort of, you just go down the rabbit hole. You get more and more interested. There's just so many crazy use cases and things that you couldn't really do in Web 2. And I really suggest sort of trying and educate yourself. There's a few platforms that you could use for sort of education, Rabbit Hole GG being one of them, is to just really learn the basics and sort of hang around. And then, to be honest, I really recommend sort of trying a bit of everything, because, you know, you've got DAOs, you've got NFT projects, you can also get into DeFi and sort of try and interact with these communities. Go into their Discord, start talking to them, and really see what works for you and what are you interested in, where you can really start providing value with the current skills that you have. But at the beginning, I wouldn't really try and focus on just one thing. And I think I kept myself pretty diversified at the beginning, and only when I realized the true potential of DAOs and the Symmetrical, I decided to like fully focus on that. And yeah, I think, you know, that's a good start. And you will see where do you get like a good signal and like where you can see that you can actually provide value. And that's sort of the stage where you should probably be focusing more on that. And, so, you know, yeah, if you're a Gen Z starting off,
investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum and trying to like go down the rabbit hole and read as much as possible. With reading on Twitter, is that the best thing? Or what do you think is the best way to get information?
Well, I'm really big on Web3 social media. So, you know, start off with Twitter. I think, you know, Twitter has a lot of advantages, and there's a lot of things that you see before anyone that sort of reads the traditional media. So like you can really react faster and invest or sell something much quicker than let's say the herd. But there's also like crypto Twitter has its downsides, and sometimes it's like this sort of place where you amplify not so good things and sort of some negativity. So I'd also recommend try and really explore Web3 social. I think that's also a very big space for the next bull run is going to be Web3 social. So try and get on Lens. Lens protocol is pretty cool. And try and get on Farcaster. This is essentially like a Web3 Twitter, and try interacting with people there. Like, it's also quite interesting. Like, I get much more engagement on Farcaster, like, although I have it for about 2 weeks now. So definitely worth going in there. There's a few great accounts which I'm happy to share later on, perhaps maybe in the notes of this podcast, or if you just reach out to the Symmetrical, where to sort of start your journey off, who with.
Yes, yeah, that would be great. I probably would post the links down below in the description for anyone to check them out, because that would be cool. So and like Lens Protocol and Farcaster, that's the recommendation here. Yeah, I love Twitter, but Twitter has currently a lot of drama. Well, not even talking about Elon Musk taking over Twitter, but generally speaking, crypto Twitter, like there are all these threads of people just fighting over small things. And like, there's always some kind of a failure or people screaming that it's a scam, it's a rug. But on the other hand, there are so many shillers on the other side. And it's sometimes hard to get through the noise to like really valuable information. And you really, like, probably that was the hardest for me when I was starting. Like, I didn't know who to follow for valuable information. And that's why in the end, I decided also to make my channel to try to, get through the noise and just make sure that people can get valuable information in one place. I
sort of, I've gone through a few Twitter accounts before I reached my final form of doxing myself and the people that I followed, and it still pops up on my I had notifications turned on for some of them, and I'm currently in the process of turning them off because like actually not the best profiles to start things off with. So yeah, that's also tricky.
Yeah, I guess in a bear market you see much more, and you see who's really in for the space and trying to build in a bear market, and who was just in for the easy money and then run away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you for the chat. So do you have any ending thoughts? Like what's your plans with the Symmetrical right now? What you're excited about? What will be like the next year looking for the Symmetrical?
The Symmetrical will be expanding. We're slightly changing our structure. We're probably going to move away from the syndicate model, although we do like it. But, our DAO is just so much way more than what it started with. We're not only an investment club, and that's what really Syndicate is about. So we will be opening up, we'll be dropping our NFT to sort of open up to the broader public, and that will be sort of entry level to the Symmetrical. We'll most likely premiere this on Seed Club's demo day. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty pumped for that. Aside of that, we've onboarded 65 members, and I don't see the number going much more than that. I think, 100 will be our absolute limit of like core contributors. And then we'll have this sort of satellite of people that are NFT holders and will benefit from things such as earning opportunities and others. And in the future, I see the Symmetrical as really when, my dream is to think whenever someone says Gen Z and Web3, they'll straight away think of the Symmetrical, and the Symmetrical will be this kick-ass Web3 community, and I see this side structure of an investment DAO, and they'll be sort of complementary with each other, sort of slightly getting inspired on Seed Club and Seed Club Ventures and their sort of way they partner with each other.
That's really great. So finally, what are the social media where people can find you, where people can, like, is it Twitter, like where people should reach out to you or to the Symmetrical?
We're on Twitter. I'm also on like Lens and Farcaster, but the best place to start off is just follow me on Twitter. It's at Jakub Rusiecki. So hopefully,
I'll post the link down
in the comments because but yeah, that's really the best place to follow me, and definitely get in touch. Anyone that's interested in the space, any Gen Zs that want to join, my DMs are open, and so are Symmetricals.
Awesome. Kuba, thank you for the great chat. And yeah, see you in the probably some way in the metaverse in the future, on Twitter, on YouTube, or whenever else we meet. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Przemek. Take care.